Good evening, and thank you for joining me tonight on Simple Confident Cooking. Hello, studio. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And hello to everybody at home. We're so glad you can join us. Please feel free to message or chat in with us questions while we go. And tonight we're making chili. I'm so excited. This is my absolute favorite thing about the Super Bowl is chili, as my family knows. Not a big sports fan, but I love chili. So we're gonna. So that makes it all tolerable. So first thing we'll do is we'll start off sauteing our beef. I've got just a nice hot pan. I'm using cast iron today, and I like it how it stews the meat. You can use just a regular pan if you've got it. And we're using about a ½ pound of chuck, and they're probably in about 1 inch, even a ½ inch size pieces, so pretty small. And we're just gonna toss those in and get these cooking for a second. And while I let those ones go, we're gonna start a chili sauce. So this is, think about chili, there's a couple. Chili is really the common denominator which makes all chili the same, right? So we're gonna start off doing a chili sauce. So what I'm doing is just kind of a mixture of peppers. You can find these at any kind of grocery store. Usually they'll have a Hispanic section. Sometimes you'll see them with the little envelopes of spices. And they're pretty inexpensive and amazing flavor in these big chilies. So I have assortment here. I have poblano, chipotle, Anaheim's, and I like having a good selection. And we're just gonna set them on the burner for a second and just kind of get them a little charred on each side, and then we'll just add a little water to make our paste for those. And may as well add a little bit of garlic in there at the same time. And we'll put a couple cloves in there. Let's see here. Probably, sometimes it's tempting to use pre-chopped garlic that you buy at the grocery store. It just doesn't taste the same at all. And this is, the cool thing about this is that we're gonna strain it off later, so you can even leave the skins on, just toss them in right like they are. And we'll give those a couple minutes, and we'll start smelling it in a few minutes when it gets cooking too. Okay, so let's see, we'll check on our meat over here. I think that we were watching a couple YouTube videos last night of other people making chili, which was kind of fun to do. It was good time entertainment, and I think to me cooking is a lot like music. So you can kind of start. There's so many great songs that have been created, right? And even one of your favorite songs, there's so many versions of a great song that you love. And there's kind of common components to it, but you can kind of go any direction you want and still make it your own and still make it something you love. Start with guitar and add piano and add vocals, add drums. And every layer that you add makes it more complex, more interesting, and more exciting. It's the same thing with cooking. So kind of one of the really important things about this class is showing you how to put kind of those basic components together, and then you can look at any recipe and kind of understand what you can change and what kind of needs to be there, what things you can play around with to make it your own and make it the way that you love it. I think sometimes when I'm reading recipe reviews, I love Epicurious, and sometimes I see chefs say things, or home cooks say things like, you know, this just didn't have enough flavor, and I didn't have enough salt. Well, those are all things that you can kind of change on your own. It doesn't mean that it's a bad recipe. It just means that you can adjust some of those minor things to make it a little bit more to your taste, but keep the basics, the kind of bones of the recipe intact, and then that's going to be a great way to make it your own. So we're going to let me show you our meat real quick. I'm kind of sauteing this a little bit and give it a little mix. My idea is to get everything nice and caramelized and brown. You can see right now that there's quite a bit of moisture accumulating at the bottom. One of the things that I saw in a lot of the videos that I personally am not a big fan of is that a lot of people drain off all of those juices. And in my opinion, you lose so much flavor by doing that, and then you have to add in a beef broth or something to build up your flavor again. In fact, all those juices are going to evaporate on their own, and so if you just kind of let them do their thing, get a nice color on those, you're good to go. And in fact, it's even nice if it starts sticking a little bit at the bottom of your pan, because all of those juices are just going to add to your flavors. So I'm going to just chop up an onion we'll put in there. And let's check on our peppers. Let's see how these guys are doing. Ooh, it's nice and hot. We'll give them, I don't know if you guys can smell them. You're starting to smell kind of spicy. Up close, it'll make your eyes water because these guys are hot. And you can see kind of the little garlics are starting to get little brown bits. That's great. That's enough. And then all we need to do, see how hot the pan is just add a little bit of water to it. We don't actually need a lot, just enough to kind of cover these. And this is one of the most simple sauces you could learn to make. And really, once you make it, it's you can use it for a million different things at home. So okay, let's chop up some more onion. So set this guy aside. Let's see how our beef is doing. We'll give it another stir. We're starting to get a lot of juices here, but those will be coming off pretty soon. So let me show you right now. So the coloring, this is where a lot of people would stop cooking at this point, where it's sort of a grayish color. And I think it's important to cook even a little bit beyond that, so you actually start caramelizing the meats. So that's going to give you deeper, richer flavor, and let you keep all those yumminess. Okay, so we'll do another onion. And so the peppers are another thing you can do a lot of different directions on. I actually made a couple of chilies that we're going to try today. And really, those are exactly one of the key things in chili that you can change around to make the way that you love it. So a lot of times I just use what I have on hand. So I'm going to show you how I do this chili sauce that I like to make. But I think if you use poblanos and Anaheims, bell peppers, jalapenos, those sort of things, certainly give you a great flavor profile as well, but they're going to have just a little bit different flavor than they'll have if you're using a dried pepper. You're going to have a richer, deeper, kind of smokier flavor, which you might enjoy it either way. Sometimes just a combination of those is great to do too. So our beef is smelling really good. Okay, while we're just waiting on that a little bit longer, we'll cut up the pepper. You might have seen me do this before, but I like to go down the sides rather than straight through the middle, because this way you can kind of make sure that you don't get all the seeds, and also it gives you really nice flat surfaces to work with when you're cutting. This is a real long pepper. So we'll do it that way. And okay, so now that we have those nice sections, then we can just make our little strips, and then it's really easy to pull it together, because bell peppers, especially if you get kind of a rounder one, it's hard to find a real nice flat surface to work on, and this way you kind of can make your own flat surface. So that's fun. And one of the other things that I saw on a lot of videos, it's not my favorite way to do chili, is that the onions and bell peppers a lot of times were added in raw, and then they would go ahead to cook maybe in a crock pot or something. The other reason why I'm not as much of a fan of doing that is because you're starting with a raw pepper, right? You're starting with raw onion. So it's hard to ever truly get rid of that raw flavor as you're cooking. You always have like a little bit reaching, a little bit more crunch, and some people like that flavoring and that style, I suppose. But to me, just like in Indian cooking, how you always toast your spices a little bit, it helps pull out those flavors and get all of that amazing just flavor, but the spices and the aromas, it just starts building all of that for you, and makes your job a little bit easier. You'll find that you even need to season a little bit less if you're working with your seasonings properly, and if you have really great seasonings to begin with. So if you have a low quality cumin, you're going to find yourself trying to add to really accomplish the same flavor that if you started with a good quality cumin, you're going to not have as much work to get really great flavor. Yeah. So, all right, this is going good. Let's check out our meat. Okay, got a lot of juices coming here, and yes.
Hi, Anna.
Hi, Chloe.
So
That's Chloe.
sorry to interrupt. You're doing a great
Come
job.
up.
I just have a question for you.
Yes.
So I noticed that you are making kind of your chili in 2 separate pots
Yes.
because you are making a sauce separate from the pot where the chili will all meld.
Yes.
Is there a way to maybe make it all in one pot, or is there like a
You
specific...
can, and I'm gonna show you how to do this one to finish it. And what I do when it's done in the kitchen, you can cheat a step ahead if you want to, but I'll just strain this off when it's done, and I'll keep this in my refrigerator for weeks because it really won't go bad for a very long time. And then this is kind of becomes like a spicy mother sauce. I don't have any salt or anything. If you want to taste it, you can. It's kind of it's hot. It's really hot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like spicy, so...
It's hot. It'll
Oh,
even
yeah.
just a little bit. It's hot. You don't need a lot of it, but this works. This sauce will work really great with the extras to make barbecue sauce or to make enchiladas. You can use it for salsas if you're making. Just add a little bit of that to it, and it goes a really long ways.
So it's an extra step, but you can use it in many different ways, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So if
Okay.
I was really making this at home, I wouldn't always do it at the same time. You usually have a couple burners at your house, though, so it's pretty easy. You can see I didn't add anything in here. And basically I'm doing is just reconstituting the peppers. And so let me show you what it looks like. So you can see how the, here, let me show everybody at home, how even the water is turning kind of an amber color.
Yeah.
So even if you tried the water, it's going to have a pretty spicy component, and all I'm really wanting to do is soften the peppers enough that I can kind of puree it, and then I'll use like a little sieve here and just kind of strain it off. At home I would probably use my blender, but my blender's from the 50s and it just goes everywhere. It's really exciting. My kitchen is always covered in sauce. So I figured I would save that for away from the equipment. So we'll use an immersion blender today.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Anna.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank you, Chloe. I'm glad you asked.
I'll let you get back.
Oh, thank you. Any other questions at this point? I think.
I have a great question.
Okay.
I am so confused. Is it chili with beans or chili without?
Great question.
Beans or no beans? And what kind of beans?
And highly debated. Well, let's take a poll in the audience. Beans or no beans? Hands, show of hands or applause.
Don't know.
Beans? All right, these are my people. Okay, tomatoes or no tomatoes? This is another highly tomato. All right, I like these people.
So
We have a great audience.
where did the verses come from? Like beans or without?
I think Texans especially.
Can I help? Can I serve?
We're doing good if you want
Okay,
to.
all
You're
right, I
welcome
just-
to.
I want to help.
Okay. With like a traditional Texas chili, or just even the real true definition of chili, has to do mostly with the chuck meat. So you're going to use kind of a basic. You don't really need to have the highest quality of meat cut when you're making a chili, and you can use a lot of different cuts. I like it a little bit chunky. I like to be able to taste the beef in there, but if I'm doing this for maybe like a chili dog, a lot of times I do a ground beef at home. And
Can I stir?
you can stir. And then kind of the other components, adding beans or adding tomatoes. Some people like to do them, some people don't like to do them. If you were just doing a straight up chili, this is it. You would do your sauce and you do your beef, and you would add some beef stock if you wanted to. In that case, even all these liquids that are still there, that's really
Smells
a beef
great.
stock. So you don't even have to cook them off all the way, because those will just...
Can we have those?
Yeah, but we're gonna pour these ones out first, and then
Okay.
we can start on those. Do you want to do that?
Can I help?
Sure. Here, you can pour them in. We'll keep the juices. We don't have to cook them all the way off. We're here in the studio.
So
You
just
know how
take
to do
them all
that at
out
home. Yeah,
individually?
just toss.
Okay.
No, just toss. Just dump that in there.
Dump where and who?
This in here.
I'm scared. Really?
Yeah, here. You pour, and I'll scrape it in. Don't be scared. Here, I'll turn off the burner so you don't light on my towel on fire.
So this is going in here, right? Okay.
Okay, here we're just
Yeah.
gonna set them aside for a second, and here you can show. Here, show how much juice is left. So
Okay.
here, show this on the camera so you can see
Yeah,
that. at home.
and plus there's more in the bowl too,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, toss that in there.
Oh, wait.
So a lot of people would just toss that out. Don't throw it away. Either keep cooking it till it evaporates, or just keep it, because that's basically a beef broth, so that'll be fine. So now we're gonna start sauteing our onions and peppers.
Okay, got it.
So let's put just a little bit of olive oil in the pan. When you're doing the beef, you don't really need to do that because it has natural fat in it that will be kind of your non-stick component. So put those in there, and then with your kind of jalapeno, or if you wanted to add some fresh garlic at this point, I like to add that in towards the end, because otherwise it gets it can burn pretty quickly. So we don't need to do that quite yet. And so anyway,
Can we
back
add
to
this?
your don't add yet. We gotta wait. We have to do it. This is layering. You have to layer
Building
one on top
flavors.
of the other. Yeah.
Building flavors.
Building flavors. So you have to have some patience.
Can I at least have a spoon? Can
Sure.
I, spoon.
And okay, so when we go into adding the beans, one of the things that I particularly like about adding beans, you can certainly skip the beans if you don't want to, but think of it this way: one can of beans is going to cost you about $1. If you buy a bag of dried beans, it's going to cost you about $1 for, it'll make you 2 pounds or more. And so it's a really inexpensive way to make your chili stretch. And it also, to me, I really love the flavor that it adds to it. Fortunately, everybody here agrees with me. I paid them extra for that.
So what about this bean though?
The other comment.
Yes,
Michael Lassalle, watching on the internet.
yes.
No, yeah, says no beans.
No beans. Well, a lot of people say no beans. In official chili competitions, a lot of times they consider beans to not qualify. And so it really is kind of, if you're doing it completely bean, then that's called chili beans. It's not called chili any longer.
Hello.
Because you're doing a chili on your beans. So tomatoes is one of the things too that's really an optional ingredient that in a pure chili is not necessarily one of the components. So one of the reasons again that I like to add the tomato, if you try this sauce alone, it's
you have the
really,
tomato?
really spicy. No, it's not time. You have to be patient with your food. Just leave it. Just leave it. Let it cook.
Touch it.
Let it caramelize. Don't keep moving. You don't have to mess with it. Just let it do its thing, and then you play with it. When
Yes.
it's ready, it speaks to you when it's ready. You have to start
But what about the
smelling it.
beans? You were talking about the beans.
I am talking about the
Okay.
beans. You're so the kidney beans are going to be probably one of the most common beans to use, but black beans and pinto beans are also kind of common ones. Black-eyed peas can be used a lot of times. And let's see, let's see how our peppers are doing. We might need to add a little bit more water in there. James.
I don't know where to put my hands.
That's good. You're good.
Oh, question.
Yes. Okay. Yes, pepper question. I'm ready.
Pepper her with questions.
Go.
It's okay.
Good.
I've
You're
been
good.
bumped.
You're doing good.
You can stay.
No,
Thank
hey,
you.
have fun.
No, really. It's good. Love him so much.
So I have a pepper question.
Yes.
And it's also a safety question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Because I'm chicken about touching peppers and things.
So those are beautiful, lethal-looking peppers.
Yes.
Can I safely touch them? And then I touched my eye, and I go to the hospital. I have to wash my hands in between touching the peppers.
You don't want to go directly from here to your eye. That will hurt very badly.
Okay.
I usually use your seeds, and your stem is going to be the hottest part of your chili.
Okay.
So if you're touching on the outside of it rather than on the inside, this is where you're going to really get it. Is if you're working with this hottest bit with your hands.
Okay.
So what I usually do, especially if you're not wanting to have a real spicy chili, or you're making this for your kids or something, is that I'll just actually cut that spine out. At home, I'd probably use a little bit smaller of a knife, but then it's really easy to kind of remove all those bits, and you can kind of even pat the back of it, and then you have a much more mild chili.
Okay.
to work
And
with.
even the big red one, it's okay to touch the outside of it when you're
Yeah,
putting it on the pan with your
exactly. And
fingers?
they're, especially when it's dried, the seeds are the incredibly hot part of it, but when it's dried, you're not going to get that same oil, which is,
Okay.
the oil is what sticks to your hands. So I would, and if you're concerned about it, if you use some gloves or something, that helps.
Okay. Go wash my hands.
That's the safest
Thank
way to go. Yes. Okay, see, now we're getting, okay, so now when it's starting to stick just a little bit, you can hear when I mix it around. That's a good time to start stirring it, because that's when you're really starting to build up the caramelization and the flavors. Okay, so come see it again. Now I just mixed them around a little bit, but let me show you. So now see how
Here you
they're
go.
getting, oh, thank you. See how they're getting nice and translucent now?
That's a great
And,
cut.
and,
Yeah, see-through almost, right?
and you're starting to get little brown bits too. So that's where you're really getting great
Smells
caramelization. So now we're gonna start adding in some flavors. We'll keep
Flavor.
cooking this down for a minute, but ooh, don't burn yourself
Oh,
here. Okay, so what we'll do, I'm starting off with pre-cooked beans, so I'll add these on a little bit later in the process, but these have enough going on that we can add in our beef at this point. And
Pot a little bit.
oh, sure. It's okay. So we'll kind of add in here, and now let's start adding in some of our flavors.
So how do you
Some of our
how do
spices
you
and
add them
herbs.
in? The biggest flavor first, the lightest?
It doesn't matter so much. Let's start with a cumin. So that's this one here. I like to do cumin. Oh, this is oregano and cumin, coriander. That's coriander and cumin. So these are going to be kind of your predominant ones, right? So you've got cumin is one of the big ones. Coriander is a big.
Do you need a spoon?
And coriander. No, but thank you. and oregano. So those are going to be kind of your, other than your chili, those are going to be kind of your basic flavorings for a chili.
How do you measure?
Traditional. I don't measure very much.
Just a dash here, a dash there, a handful there?
I would do probably about at least 2 tablespoons. I find for my preference, a lot of recipes are a little bit too light on the seasonings for me. I would do a healthy 2 tablespoons. This is 2 pounds of, probably 1.5 pounds of beef.
Can you explain cumin? The mystery. I mean, it's in everything almost. It's just such a unique smell or spice.
Well,
how would you say cumin is? Sorry to
I don't know how to. It's common in a lot of different. I don't know how to explain it. It's common in a lot of different cuisines. It's certainly in Mexican and South American cooking, but even Indian cooking is going to use a lot of cumin and cumin seeds. So a lot of different ethnicities. So coriander. Here's some trivia. What is coriander similar to? Chloe.
Cilantro.
Yes.
What? No way. Seriously?
Same plant.
Really? So it's
cilantro, which is this one here, so the fresh one
right.
here, right? So cilantro is a fresh plant. When it goes to seed, that becomes coriander, which I found out when I lived in London for a year, and at a restaurant. I was working in a restaurant, and I was so starving for Mexican food. I can't even tell you, because that's not really one of their things that they specialize in. So I always ask my chef, like, how do I get these ingredients so I could make like salsa or something? And I swear to you, for 6 months, I would ask him, how do I find cilantro here? And he's like, I don't know what cilantro is. I've never heard of this before. And so I keep asking him. One day I walked in the refrigerator and there's a whole box of cilantro. And I went out there and I was like, are you kidding me? You have a whole box of cilantro in there. He's like, no, that's not cilantro. So I went in and I checked it and I'm like, I'm certain it's cilantro. And he's like, no, it's coriander. I'm like, no, it's cilantro.
Ooh la la.
We were both right. I thought he was holding out on me. Like, why wouldn't you tell me? Coriander, I'm going to do probably about a good tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of that.
And you don't need the heat?
Well, I do need the heat, but the heat's over there and I'm over here, so I'll put it on the heat in a minute.
Okay.
And so fresh oregano, if you have a Mexican oregano, but just a good quality oregano. If you get
Is there a
this,
story
like,
behind it? The oregano or?
there is, yes. my grandma has an amazing oregano plant, so I actually help her harvest it every year. So this is one of my favorite ones. It has a really great fragrance to it. A lot of times when you get oregano at the grocery store, you're going to you get a lot of times the leaves, and really the best part of the oregano is when it starts going to seed. And so what my grandma does, she's this old Greek thing, I guess. I've never seen anybody else do it, but she always harvests all the tops and then dries that part, and that's what she saves, and that has like the most intense, amazing oregano flavor. So I would do. I keep adding in. I like to do a lot of the seasonings. Okay, so now we've got those. Those are our 3 basics other than chili.
Cumin, coriander,
Coriander,
oregano.
Okay, so now we're gonna go a little bit off the beaten path. My favorite ways to to me, this is in something you'll see in a lot of like Greek cooking. You'll see it in Jamaican cooking. A lot of different ethnicities use a lot of sweet. Middle Eastern food use a lot of sweet with savory. And so what I like to add in is cloves and allspice. Those are which are these 2 here. The 2 dark ones. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Clove and allspice.
And these ones are really really strong. So there you go. So you don't want to do as much of this. I would maybe do like even a teaspoon or so. And this is one of the things that I would kind of add in a little bit more as you go. So those will be good. And then some chefs will put in like a little bit of a bittersweet chocolate, which is going to put it a little bit more in the mole territory. And coffee works great, especially if you have like some coffee left over from breakfast. Put a little of that in. And this is one of my other personal favorites, which is chicory. So this is a
secret
shout out
ingredient.
To my Louisiana.
Who dat?
friends.
Who dat?
And I like to put
Really?
a little bit of that in. Yeah.
Chicory.
Chicory. Yeah. So it's going to be a little
What's
bit.
chicory?
It's a root.
Okay.
It's a root.
Here, let's have the expert.
Yeah,
So let's put this back on. Let that do its thing for a minute. Chicory is a root that in
With the heat.
Louisiana, it's going to be in coffee a lot of times. Mixed with coffee, yeah. So it has kind of similar characteristics, a little bit smoky, a little bit sweet, a little bit earthy.
Just bring it up.
What do you think?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I still have no idea.
Yeah.
Still no idea.
No, it adds a really interesting
That's
component.
great. That's amazing.
And you can certainly use a chili
I want
powder
beignets
too.
with that. I just want to have beignets. Aren't you supposed to have coffee, right?
I guess so. Yeah. So if I was going to use dried chilies with this, I would probably do like a chipotle, maybe a chili, and I still would mix up a couple different ones. So I would do like a pasilla I like a lot. And again, when I was watching this, watching people do this at their homes, a lot of times, I mean, honestly, this is about a half a cup of chipotle, and it would honestly kill you if you ate this whole thing. It's so hot. And I would see it people at their homes doing about that much chili, which means one of 2 things. Either it means you have an insanely high tolerance for heat, which I think most people don't, or else it means that you have a chili that's not a very good quality, therefore you don't have as much flavor and as much heat coming out of the pepper that you're using. And I think that's a lot of times going to be the case if you're using kind of a lower quality of a spice. You don't get that same, and you're also using a lot more of something that you think is a better value, but in the long run you're actually not saving yourself any money. So let's, how's this looking? Are we getting
Smells
the heat
terrific.
up?
It's getting up there,
Okay.
yeah.
So now at this point, what we'll do is add in our, we'll cook it for a second just till you start smelling all the fragrance of all the spices and herbs in there.
Okay.
Is that, so that's, let's add in at this point a little fresh, let's do some fresh pepper and fresh garlic in here. So we'll do a little fresh and a little dried this time. So we'll do, okay, so
What kind of pepper is that?
that's a jalapeno. So that's,
Ooh, spicy. That's a lot.
yeah, confidently just putting it in. So we'll do, we could do a couple garlic cloves in there as well. I like to have the garlic. And again, all you have to do is take your knife and squish it, and then you don't have to peel it. It helps you kind of like, easier to cut that way too, because you already kind of started mushing it out. And squishing it is a little bit like using, if you have a kind of a garlic press at home, squishing it's kind of getting out those same oils and juices in your garlic too. This will cook for a long time, so you don't have to have perfectly small pieces. It'll be, we'll cook it down a little bit.
How long did it take you to get all these spices?
I've been collecting them for a long time. If they're stored well, they'll last you for a very long time too. If you can see, I always store them with an airtight lid, and that's kind of one of your secrets to keeping it fresh.
And you have to actually tighten the lid.
And although it is not
Tighten the lid.
convenient, yes, thank you. My
I learned
husband
that.
has this thing where he'll go like this, and he sets the lid down. So you think that on everything. We've been married for 3 years.
Whew.
This
She
is
knows the
still
number.
not like, and then I walk over and pull it up and spill things all the time. Like, because it is on does not mean, it does not mean it is tightened.
Somebody's fired.
So, okay, so how's this? You gotta stir it in. So if you don't stir it in, then you're not,
Yes, chef.
you're
Can we
just,
have some of that white wine, maybe deglaze it, or
not yet.
not yet? No deglaze.
We're gonna use a little bit of beer. So I think, I like to do beer. You can use certainly a wine. I think that the beer has, kind of a little bit of the bitter notes, which makes it kind of interesting. Okay, so let's bring that over here again, and we'll, now that we have, so then we'll put a little bit of the beer in there. I would do maybe a half cup to a cup, maybe half a beer bottle. I'm using a Racer 5 today, going local. Family favorite.
Santa Rosa.
And then let's add in our tomato at this point as well. So we would do maybe like, I like to do sort of just a tomato
Is it a puree or is this
puree.
kind of nice and simple?
Yep, nice puree. And the tomato's also going to add a little bit of liquid for you. So you don't, if you like it a little bit thicker, this will cook down for a long time. So a couple of your options for building up the liquid is going to be a straight water. If you have like a chicken or beef broth, or if you want to do something like a beer or wine, all of those are going to add liquids for you. And so today we'll do a little bit of beer, and I happen to have some homemade beef stock, so I think I'll add maybe about a cup of that in here as well, just because it'll give it a nice rich beefy flavor. And certainly if you had, okay, like maybe something like a bouillon or something
That
would
looks
work
great.
as well. But
There's the color.
okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to test your flavors, right? This
Okay.
is going to cook down for a couple of hours. So especially if you have bigger chunks of meat, if you were using maybe a ground beef, all you really need to do is cook this for about probably I'd say like 30 minutes to an hour. But if you're using a bigger piece of meat, the idea is to get this super tender, and you're going to accomplish that by doing it for like 2 or 3 hours. So do this early in the day, and then you can come back to it. So if you give this a taste, then you can kind of figure out how is your flavor doing. So this is how...
More heat.
More heat. Well, we didn't add
More
heat yet.
Oh,
So
more heat.
what we're going to do
Heat.
is add our chili paste. And this is the same thing as that, except for pureed
Really?
and strained. Yep. And this is hot. Put your finger in. Don't be so confident. It's hot. But we'll put a couple tablespoons in there. And then here's a trick that my mom always does that I really love is when you take kind of a spoonful of it and you taste it, think through the different components. Like, what is this missing? So you go through like savory, sweet, acid. It's just like, I just taste beans, whatever those things are that you're not really feeling. And then try it. Just sprinkle a little bit maybe on your spoon and say, you know what I think it could use is a little bit of sugar, which I didn't add in, and I like a little brown sugar.
That's great, honey. That's a good point.
And then
That's a terrific point.
you start feeling all those flavors come out and like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm missing right now. So I'm going to put in about half a cup of chili in here, and we'll add
You
in
add the
our
beans?
beans. Yeah, we'll put those in about this point too. Beans for everyone.
So how far are we along with this here?
So
Are
now we
like
would just
3/4
set on the
of the
lid.
way?
Yeah.
Are we like at
And the other
2-minute
thing is
line?
that a lot of people wait
2
to
minutes?
taste this at the very end. Taste it now. Don't taste it at the very end.
Great. Good
Because
point.
that's how you're going to really feel like, oh, okay, this is really coming together, and it's really
Yeah,
where
at the
I
end
want
it's
it to
too
be.
late. You had to build
To be-
building
at the
flavors.
end, it's too late.
Building the flavors. So if you need
So-
more of something, add it. If you
So
don't-
now we have brown sugar. How's this one now? It has a little bit more, just balance. So you're getting not only the hot, but you're
yeah,
getting
it's
a
good.
little sweet.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice balance.
We can make it a little hotter.
Oh,
We'll put a little bit more. But we have a lot of volume, so then it's not going to be too
that looks
too
great.
hot. So then
that off.
there you go. We would just let this go for a couple hours. Put the lid on it. I like the cast iron because it's going to kind of keep basting it, self-basting it. So just check it every 30 minutes or so. Give it a stir, try it a little bit, and that's as simple as it is. It's very
Hey,
easy.
that's great, Chef. You have more. We'll start with the chili now, the contestants.
Yes.
I did the
So-
research. This is for little Mr. Mikey De La Salle in Texas. Well, actually, he called in, right? Or did he tweet
I
in?
know.
He said that
he's a
beans
proponent
should
of,
not be added to stew in
he's
this
a
way.
big proponent of beef and chili.
Well, here's the facts for you there, Tommy. Here's the deal. Gonna let you know that in the Dallas newspaper there was a guy who wrote an article saying that if you didn't add beans or had them on the side of your chili, it was like unsettling the balance of nature. He got fired
Unsettling
back
the balance of nature.
by another guy named Frank Talbot who wrote for the Dallas News, and his comment was, if you know your beans about stew, then you know the stew shouldn't have beans. Then a guy wrote about it, and a songwriter named San Marco in 1976 wrote a song with the actual lyrics in it. And then in 1977, Texas made chili the official food. But to let you know, the Incans and the Mayans would make their stew with meat and cheese with
Cheese
beef
got to go on top.
and beans and herbs way before Columbus and the Crusades, just so you know.
Thanks. Okay, so Susan and Columbus and Chloe, you guys
I think he's lying.
brought some from home. And let's do, let me see. We'll grab,
Well, we have Shelley's too. So we're having a chili cook-off. It's happening now. So, honey, why don't you get back here and I'll grab the other chili.
Okay, so we've got
put 'em
a
all
couple
together.
people who brought chilies, and I did these a couple ways at home too. So bring up your chilies, guys. We gotta give it a good taste test. And we need, I did a couple versions at home. I did a vegetarian one, and I did one with a bigger chunk of beef. It's a little bit more like a traditional. And then this one, who's this one?
Shelly.
Shelly.
All right, Shelly. Okay, and I need you. You're gonna be my official taste tester. This is a very important job.
One of those definitely needs to be microwaved.
They all do. We're doing this. Okay. Okay, so I need the chefs to come up and tell me about what you do in your chilies. And Susan, you have one too.
Mine's at the end here.
Shelly, you're first up. Let's hear about your chili. Oh, it smells like heaven.
We might have eaten half of it last night. I do a ground beef chili, and I actually like Anna. I do not use a store-bought chili powder. I make my own, and I actually use ancho chilies. Dried ancho chilies. I toast them, put them in the food processor with all the other stuff, the cumin, the coriander, etc., etc. I actually start my ground beef 2 pounds, and I use salt and baking soda on it and let it sit for 20 minutes. That's going to help it keep its moisture.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen
And
that.
then you can brown all of it at once. I do it all in one pot, keep all that liquid just like you, and add all my other ingredients. Chipotles and adobo is what I use. And then I just put it in the oven
All right.
for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and let it melt on down and thicken up, and voila, it's great. Salt and pepper at the end, and 2 tablespoons of cider vinegar.
Yes, I like that.
So that's mine.
One of the things I saw in a lot of home videos was ketchup, and it actually is a little. If you think about it, it's a little bit of a tomato paste plus your vinegar
And your sugar.
and your sugar.
And I use sugar in there
Yeah.
too.
So, if you're running out of supplies, that can work in a pinch.
There you go.
Okay, so we need our official taste tester on this one. Okay. Here's the spoon. Here's the box.
And where's she from?
Yeah.
I'm Janet Thomas. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas,
We got
but I like all chilies, especially the ones with beans. So,
all right.
all right.
That's why we brought her in. We're like beans, yeah.
So,
Okay, so we're giving this one a try, and then we'll
And pick it up, please.
and then let's see here. Who's
are you tasting with me?
I'll taste with you, yeah. And then we've got Chloe. You're up next.
Thomas did it.
Oh, Thomas. All right, Thomas, come on up here. So I'll taste with you here. Okay, let's see your chili here.
Okay, so I did not do the chili cook down or anything like that. I just used some chili powder that we had. I don't think I used enough because it was really much. But what I did do differently.
Here, let's see yours. Bring it on over here.
It's probably
We'll
it's
switch
cold.
places.
It's cold and it needs to be warm, and it probably doesn't look all that good.
We have good imagination.
So it's a vegetarian chili. Molly's vegetarian. She likes it, she says. But what I did do differently is I actually made a roux and put it
roux.
in the chili. So I cooked the vegetables separately. There's some quinoa in there that was toasted. The beans, of course. Some corn, also grilled, toasted. Then I made a roux, and then I just kind of put it all together once the roux was done.
Right,
with the veggie stock.
Okay, and this was more of a vegetarian.
And it's
version.
strictly vegetarian.
Okay.
There's some potato in there as well.
That's like a gumbo.
So it's not a
All right.
gumbo.
No, it's very nice. And the thickening is what a lot of people do too, even with like a masa flour or corn flour, the thickening element.
Yeah, so it's very
Awesome.
thick. It's very hearty.
Very hearty.
But it's
What kind
pretty
of
good.
Nice texture.
Red beans and black beans. So I get 2 times the
All right.
condiments. Mikey.
Thank you. And Susan, I think you're your last chili. This is Susan's. Let's see. We'll do. Okay, this is our. Ooh, this one has nice, beautiful, dark color. Look at that. That's beautiful. And you use Susan. I think uses. Can I tell what the spices are that you like? So cloves, anise, cumin. Let's see what else is in there. Anise seed. Star anise. Okay.
Okay.
And it has a. Oh, so what gives it the really dark color? This one is, I think, cooks a long time. It has a little bit of a. You can smell very fragrant. And this one is.
Oh yeah.
That's nice. A little bit spicy, a little bit sweet,
You get the
a little bit
cloviness.
smoky.
Yeah.
Very
Wow.
interesting. I love that.
Complex.
Which is your favorite? You get to be the decider.
We haven't tasted yours yet.
Oh, mine don't get, you can taste them. Give them a try. So this is my vegetarian one. So the 3 beans, pinto black bean and kidney bean.
Okay.
And then this one is with the beef. So I did 2 different versions because we have a lot of vegetarians here.
Do you ever use texturized soy protein in vegetarian chili?
It's not my favorite. I'm not a big fan, but I'm also not a vegetarian.
Oh.
But it does give a nice texture, so I know that a lot of people do appreciate that.
Okay. I like that sometimes because
Yeah.
it seems like it takes on the
Yeah, it
flavor.
does. It gives it a nice chewy characteristic. So let's see.
These are all
Last
good.
one, and I'm gonna get. Okay, so
Chili heaven.
I don't get to be one of the winners, but who do we think the wine goes to?
I think they're all delicious. They're all very different styles, and that's the fun of chili because it's like your mom's recipe. Everybody's got a different favorite recipe. But I think I'm gonna have to give it to chili number 1 in the yellow pot.
All right, Shelly. Thank you so much.
So
Winner, thank you. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for joining us today at Simple Confident Cooking. We're so glad to have you here, and we'll see you again next month.
all right.
Yay.